Hey everybody, this is Rick Seagraves of the Laketown Podcast.
And I'm Matthew Wuollet. Today we have a public safety episode, bringing in two of the people here that help keep our city safe. We've got Police Chief Pete Standofer and Dale Machovsky of the Fire Department. And we'll start with Chief Pete. How you doing?
Doing well.
Good. And so tell us a little about yourself, what got you into law enforcement, and eventually what led you to Annandale.
Sure. So I came about law enforcement in probably the roundabout way. Originally intended to be a teacher is what I went to school for. And I started student teaching for a very short time and realized I probably would got fired if I would have kept doing that because they were disruptive and disruly students. And it's gotten so much worse than it was then many years ago. But so I had to make a change here at last minute. And I thought, boy, what else? I liked the idea of helping people. So I thought, well, maybe I'd give something else a try. I had a peer that knew someone in law enforcement in the local hometown where I grew up. And he said, well, do you want to do a ride along? I don't remember the guy's name anymore. It's been a long time, but I said, yeah, sure. That sounds like fun. So we went out and did that. And I'm like, yeah, I could do this. This was, that was a lot of fun. So I remember telling my parents, I don't want to, utilize that degree that we got for education, and I want to go and do my skills certification. And all right. And so went back to school for the academy and graduated and got my first job part-time, Hudson, Wisconsin. Back then, it's not like it is now, where pretty much if you have a pulse, you can have a job in law enforcement, unfortunately, given the current climate. But back then there was 600 or 700 applicants for a specific job. So I had to start in Hudson, Wisconsin part-time until I actually got my first job in Annandale first full-time job. And then I went to the sheriff's office for about 8 years and then came back and been here ever since.
That's awesome. And you've been
history.
chief for how long?
Be about 4 years now, 3.5, 4 years. So
Starting to figure it out.
yeah, it's been, it's felt like a lot longer than that,
Yeah.
I think sometimes, but.
So where are we sitting on the department? How many officers, full-time, part-time, and then reserves too?
Yes, we're still a pretty small shop. So there's 4 officers and myself, so there's 5 total. We supplement work with part-timers. So I have about 6 part-time that we pull along for extra shifts and like 4th of July details where we need a lot of extra staff. And I think we're at 5 or 6 reserve officers that volunteer for special events, large events and stuff like that. So that's where we're at in terms of size. What was the other question you had?
Oh, it was about just the reserves and all that too.
Yeah. I mean, the nice part about it is we are really fortunate with the reserves that we have right now. Volunteerism is also not wonderful right now, and to have this group of men and women that are doing the volunteers for the reserve, that's huge. Shows the quality of our community, I think, that they're willing to do that.
Yeah, and it's fun because you'll be doing an event. You'll be at an event in a different town, and all of a sudden you'll catch a face of an Annandale Reserve.
Yes, it's quite common for Wright County. So there's 3 municipal PDs in Wright County, Annandale, Buffalo, and Howard Lake, and then the rest is patrolled by the sheriff's office. But the sheriff has deputy reserves. They're similar to our reserve officers, but there's times where we will help the reserves in Wright County. But mostly we'll help Buffalo if they have an event. So sometimes you'll see our reserves over there in Buffalo or our car, which is, it's a lot of fun to be able to help them out. So.
Yeah. I always enjoy at the triathlon. They're always at the same corner. So
yeah, they become kind of the regulars. So
yeah.
Each group, you get used to seeing them in one spot. So
yeah. And we're pretty unique in this town, the fact that we have a training center.
Yes. So that, if my information is correct, which I think I just looked it up not too long ago for a presentation, about 2000 was when the actual facility was built. Prior to that, it was over at our outdoor range that we kind of lease, a gravel pit. And that's been going on, for 20 some years. And it's given a good reputation to the police department through Jeff, who was before me. Particularly, he was kind of his brainchild. And he got it all put together and got it council approved. And we've trained a lot of officers that have gone through there over the years, and I think it's really built up a reputation as being, progressive and training minded, even for a small agency. That's pretty rare. There's only, my understanding, about I think 2 or 3 of them in the state of that nature. So it's
I was
pretty
actually
unique.
just going to ask, how far do departments travel to come and train
They
here?
come from the whole state.
Yes, we have them from all over. It's not uncommon to see like Plymouth SWAT. In fact, they're coming October 13th, I think, or 16th. They'll be Plymouth SWAT. We'll love their big Bearcats. And these are big agencies that could train a lot of different places. So it's nice to have them there. We've seen them from Wisconsin, Iowa, all the way up north side of the state of Minnesota. So they come from all over to train here. So,
I think
Cass County.
I could be mistaken, but I thought I've even saw like Roseau here before. Am I?
That wouldn't surprise me. I can't say specifically.
It was when you see like a out of town cop car from a long ways away, and there's usually sometimes 2 of them, and there'll be like at Subway or something. You're like, probably going to this.
It's a pretty good guess that they're coming over to the training center. So
I'm for those that don't know, I'm on city council, and it's so I was going through the departments that rent out the the shoot house or training center, and I was surprised to see how many times Minneapolis even comes out here.
Yep, they actually have come to be pretty regular out here, and they really like it because we just have things that they aren't able to, facility that they don't even have down there sometimes. So the closest comparative, I think a lot of them talk about going to Ripley, Camp Ripley up there.
Wow.
But they seem to like it here. We're a little more like trusting, I think, of their what they want to train and do. So there's that.
Hand it over and say, "Here's it's your facility for the day."
You're grown up, make good decisions, and that hasn't come back to cause us problems yet. So but
so we have that facility, but now do you guys also go out for training?
We do. We'll if so. I was just last week, for example, out at a 2-day course at Wright County's range that they had. They offered it up for free, and so if it's free training, it was a red dot sight pistol instructor course. So put about 850 rounds training for 2 days down there, and so if there's a training available and it doesn't cost us anything and it's good training, we'll go there. I'm very for training, especially physical training, because of the nature of keeping you fresh on your skills, because complacency tends to be the thing that, one disadvantage of smaller cities is the frequency of certain types of calls is lower, and that actually is sometimes a problem because you're not used to dealing with it every time. Okay, there's the violent call or the call that does come in, and down there they maybe are handling it, 6 times a night, so they're kind of used to it, and you just have to keep your skills sharper, I think, without seeing it all the time.
And some of the newer tools they've been coming out with assist with that.
Yes, we. I think I mentioned it in the last council meeting or one council meeting. We've got a new one that we just rolled out called a bowler wrap, and to my knowledge, we're the only ones in Wright County that are running that tool as well. That's the second thing that I think we're the first agency, to my knowledge as well, that's running a red dot on one of my officers' pistols as kind of a trial run of that. And so we were the first red dot sighted pistol enforcement agency here in the county, and then have bowler wrap too, which is a really interesting device. It's hard to explain over the radio, but kind of like picture the Batman type thing where you fire off it's like a little wallet sized device that you shoot a rope, and it's got about a 7 or 8 foot Kevlar rope that flings out of it on a projectile and flips around with weighted ends and wraps your legs up. So it's kind of a cool tech, and the goal is it's a very low level of force application, but also one that seems to really interrupt the OODA loop so they can get people under control. So
a great safety aspect for everyone involved.
Yep. If we have to use force, the goal is to use as little as possible.
Yeah.
So
now, if I'm not, did they try it on you?
They did.
Yeah.
That's jokingly one of the only tools that I will let anybody. And I told that to council. I said, that's the only tool I'm going to let you, deploy on me. So to show you how little of concern I have, because it's not going to be the taser. It's not going to be OC anymore, which I've had them done, but I would let you shoot the bowler app on there. So you just cut it off, and worst that could happen ultimately is it's got little fish hooks on the end. Sometimes it sticks into your shin or something, but it's so minimal. It's really not an issue. So
that's good.
yeah.
And as far as community things that the police department does, we've got the school resource officer, but also you guys are always doing other stuff through town.
Yeah, we stay busy, particularly in the summer and even into the fall. We kind of coordinate lots of events within the community. So how it works is pretty much most events that are over a particular size, a couple hundred people, they'll send a special event permit to my office, and I would review it. And some of them are just for informational purposes. They go to council, so you guys are aware of it. And then the other ones, we need to have staff for. So example is last weekend we had Oktoberfest at the Spilled Grain. We had the Rib Fest. Those were on the same day. So those were more things that we knew about but didn't necessarily staff. We have the, what is that thing that Jim Marsh is doing? It's the drive cruise-ins. The cruise-in.
Heart of the Lakes cruise-in.
Heart of the Lakes cruise-in. So he's had that, I think it's 4 times.
Yep.
4 or 5 times through the season. And so we'll try to help him with traffic control. 4th of July, obviously, that event is huge. It used to be the triathlon. And then there's a couple more. I just approved another 5K run for
Spilled Grain.
I think it's Spilled Grain has got that one coming up, or to be going to council, I guess. So we just run those events, and if we need to, we staff them. But it keeps us pretty busy.
Yeah, and so you've been SRO, school resource officer. Nancy has. We've got Goff in there right now.
Yes. So our current school resource officer is Justin Goff. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and it's we had Nancy when I was in, and it was a lot of. She was great. Everybody,
we've had a good run of it. It's such a important role. Obviously, there's been some new changes to the legalities of force for SROs. I'm not necessarily a fan of it. I've been pretty vocal about that in terms of I don't think that's helping. We don't statistically have a lot of force deployed with students, nor would anybody want it. And so I think there wasn't really necessarily a reason to make the adjustment, but we're dealing with it. So
did they make the adjustment for more or for less force?
So
because I'm out of the loop on that a little bit.
Yeah. So the new legislation that also was the same legislation for the marijuana bill that legalized marijuana, HF100. It's had a whole multitude of interesting things tucked into it. I'll say is maybe the best answer, and one of them that surprised a lot of the officers too was regulations in regards to school resource officers and prone restraints and using a particular force on students. Essentially, without having it in front of me, is just saying, you can't have any force that requires a proning of a student where you're down putting any pressure on them, any parts of their body at all. And it might seem really straightforward that you wouldn't want to do that, but there are times where in the middle of some scuffle that you're having, it turns into something that becomes a grounding type issue. And a lot of our force is based on grounding and control. Well, when you take that away, you really lose a lot of tools at your disposal. So, and it can make them subject to lawsuits through the courts. So they're very reluctant to, intervene. Then it almost just really makes them very hands off. And there's unfortunately a time and place where sometimes you have to put your hands on somebody. So
I know that the League of Minnesota Cities and other people have been trying to get a more clarified answer on that. But
we hope they have success with it.
Yep.
That's up to the legislators to determine. Yep. We just have to respond to what they have. So
and so we've got what are we at for patrol cars now?
We have so kind of thinking about how weird things got for ordering for COVID times and car prices and everything else. We used to have 3 patrol cars, and we held over. What we would do is trade one out and then rotate that in, use the proceeds for that sale to buy another one. Since that one was outfitted and the mileage was somewhat low on that, I decided to keep that one. So we moved up to 4. So we have 4 squad cars. 2 of them, one is an unmarked administrative car. That's what you probably see me drive around in, all black one. The other one has the old graphics, and then a couple years ago I switched our graphics package to a different color, and so the two newer ones, the Charger and the Durango, they are running new squad graphics package. So eventually they'll all be that color, but
Yeah.
it's expensive, so I could do it all at once.
Yeah. No, and I mean it's all the different things that, I think there's a lot more that's going on with the police department now with all the different technology that's coming out and new techniques and everything. But yeah, it's I'd say we're a very fortunate small town that we do have such a good police department and one that's involved in the community, which is really nice, instead of if it's one that's kind of just hands off. They're there to drive around and that's it. That's
this is a good community to work in, and a lot you're seeing where other agencies are having retention issues. We're keeping our staff, and I think it's because people understand you want to work in a place where you're appreciated. So it speaks to the quality of the people in the community more than I would say the department. But we do our job, the best job we can, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm happy.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's one, right?
We've had no run-ins either, so I'm
There
pretty
you go.
happy. too.
That's good. Well, I'm up to 2 now. Bill probably wouldn't say the
I
same.
know when you
but-
said you got here
I'm going to
that
plead the fifth.
I know when you said you got here, you hadn't been in our building yet at all, and I'm
Yeah.
like, well, that's probably not a bad thing.
That's not a bad thing. No.
Yeah, and it's probably a good thing that the next person here hasn't been in here because it's still standing.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think you've been in here, have you?
No?
All right, well, we're 2 for 2 then.
We're doing
right.
good.
Yep.
And so Dale, you've been on the fire department for how many years now?
I've been on for 17 years now.
Just getting the hang of it.
Yeah, just
17 years.
Still learning.
getting my feet wet.
Yeah.
Still learning.
Oh, yeah.
And you grew up there.
Yep. I I grew up within the fire department. My dad joined back in 91, so I've been there ever since then. So I'm 36 now, so he joined when I was about 4, so 30-some
Most.
years. So, yep, I remember my brother and I would play within the trucks while Dad was at his meeting or trainings, and that we even involved ourselves when they had like big mass casualty trainings. They would take chalk and make burn marks on us, and they would have to treat us and then strap us to a backboard and then flip us upside down and act like they were going to drop us. And so, yeah, I've had a lot of fun.
I was
within
going
the
to say,
department.
I bet as a kid that was a blast.
Yeah, yep. They like to pick on us. So
And so now you're currently a captain,
I am a captain right now.
and so what? Now we have I'm on the fire department too. I've been on for 13 years, and so you've been in a level of command almost my entire time on, and your current level of captain. You guys all have different jobs. What's your?
Yeah. So my position as a captain, I do all the public events within the community. So I will set up like things with the school. So when the kindergartners come over to the station, I'm the guy they call to coordinate all that.
Yeah. In fact, we got one coming up in just a few weeks.
Yep.
Yeah.
October is our big month. It's our fire prevention month. So we have the kindergartners coming over. There's like 5 or 6 classes that come over. So we break it up into 3 different sections. And then for all the kids, there's 147 coming this year. And then we're going to serve lunch at the school.
That's my favorite.
Yep. So we find out what days they have the good
Mandarin
food,
orange chicken.
and
That's our demand.
That's when we schedule. So due to COVID, we had to cut that out for a couple of years, but now we're getting back in there.
back.
So
And so, it is fun. Those community outreach things that happen. It is really fun when the kids come through.
oh yeah, they love coming to the fire station. That's all they talk about.
Your occupation is probably one of 5 that almost every kindergartner writes down. Too.
Oh yeah, yep.
They're either a police officer, firefighter,
Doctor.
a doctor, or
Well, fire is always cooler than police.
Always.
No matter
We
how
got-
hard
we got
try.
big red trucks.
We never
That's right.
can beat the fire department.
No,
so.
no. So when I go through the school with my kids, I'll look at the walls of art, and there's always 2 or 3 firefighters
Yeah.
at every kindergartner's classroom.
Yeah, it was really fun. I always laugh at the one we do at the end of the school year is when like there's a couple different it's preschool I think that comes through or
So
there's a
kids club. Yeah.
kids club, yeah.
Yep.
And it's funny because the different ages when we let them go through the trucks, I always laugh at how the youngest ones, they'll let you, help them out of the truck.
Yeah.
And then the next grade up, some of them will let you, guide their hand down. And then the next stage up is like, I can do it.
Don't touch me.
I can
Yep.
do it. I can
Yep.
jump.
Yeah, those trucks have a big step, and some of those kids, we built them a little step stool to help get them in and out of the trucks, and usually there's plenty of guys there to help out.
Yeah.
So
And so you're dealing with the public stuff here. So Fire Prevention Week.
Yep.
And what are the things you got to do?
So we like to tell people to change out their batteries and their smoke detectors, make sure their carbon monoxide detectors are good and within date. So smoke alarms should be changed out every 10 years. So make sure you're checking those when you check your batteries. And then the other thing I like to stress about is carbon monoxide. You can get the dual smoke alarm carbon monoxide, but those go up on the ceiling. Carbon monoxide is heavier than air. So the lower you can get it to the floor, that's the best place.
So the
for it.
ones that you plug into the wall are better.
In my line, I always tell everybody to get the ones that plug into the lowest outlet so that
Yep.
you can get the reading on the carbon monoxide well enough for that exact purpose.
Exactly.
The weird part about it, though, is like in my profession, lending standard, they don't care if it's on the floor or the ceiling as long as there's
Just got to have one.
It's just
So
code to have one.
most
Yep.
people will just get a combination one, put up on the ceiling, and they're done.
Yep.
Because they're looking at the cheapest, least path of resistance here.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Well, I think there's a lot of people that don't realize, and I didn't know this even till a handful of years ago, that smoke alarms do expire.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
It says on the box
yeah.
and on the smoke alarm.
do we all read the instructions?
That's not the instructions. That's reading the box. There's a difference.
So the other thing with smoke alarms, they will discolor.
Yep.
So even though you're not a smoker, they will discolor, and from the sunlight and over age, they start going from that bright white down to that ivory.
It looks like a smoker
Yep.
Yeah.
was in the house for
does,
long enough to make it, and that's another good indication.
Yep.
Get a new one.
One other thing that I would also stress, not just the fact of replacing your batteries and in your smoke alarms every so often. I can't tell you how many houses I get into where they're sitting in the cupboard because they don't even have them plugged in because they didn't, didn't even want to replace the battery. So start with make sure they're installed.
Or their cooking is bad.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, man.
we see that a lot.
We
The
won't even get
batteries
into
aren't
that.
even in.
Oh.
They're up on the wall, but their batteries aren't in and not working.
My wife watches these, which would be funny because I will tell you that we know the whole neighborhood knows when she's cooking bacon.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, there you always see one missing from the kitchen, or if it's often they don't even put them in the kitchen now, do they?
Oh yeah,
Are they always-
have to.
You should have one in the
code,
kitchen, yeah.
You have to have one
Within
up.
10 feet of every bedroom opening. Like in my house, we didn't have, I don't think there was a smoke alarm in the house, period. None of them were hardwired in. So when we redid everything, we hardwired everything into each other and did it the right way because I know how they're supposed to be done. But there's a lot of places they'll have like maybe one or two battery powered ones hung on the wall, and that's all you see,
Yeah.
Yep.
which is still better than none,
Yep.
but
It is.
not fantastic.
No. And where are we sitting for firefighters right now?
I believe we have 26 now
Wow.
on the department. So we've got 2 that are brand new and 1 more in the works. But we just had 4 go through our Fire 1, Fire 2, Hazmat, and they're going to be 2 of them are going to be starting their first responder here in January. So we got a few green guys, but a lot of veterans yet.
Yeah.
So teach them the ropes.
Yeah. No, that's it is great because I mean sometimes we got down to what 19 for a while.
We got down to like 18.
18,
It got a little tiresome of
Yeah.
not having anybody else
So
responding.
what is the average tenure? Ballpark.
About 6-7 years.
Okay.
So, yeah,
No, it's just people get busy with.
life happens.
Yeah.
People move. We're not very busy, but we're a busy small town. So we cover 5 townships and then the city. So I mean, we cover about 99 square miles around the city of Annandale, and then thankfully we got our great mutual aid partners to call in for more assistance if we need it. But yeah, we're busy. We average about 330 calls a year.
And how many calls 10 years ago?
Oh, it was like 100 or
Five.
maybe 200 and 240
Yeah.
a few years ago.
Yeah.
So,
The number just on the rise.
Yeah. And we have a large elderly community in Annandale. So
Medicals.
a lot of things are medical based, but we're still there to assist Alina. So,
And all the training that the firefighters go through.
yeah. So when you first get on, you start in with firefighter 1. They are mandated by the state. Then you go in, once you get that done, you go into fire 2, and then you do your hazmat, which is hazardous materials. And then we get that done, and then into our EMR, which is emergency medical responder. So, and then guys sometimes go to the extra limits and they'll do EMT, and then they pursue a career into that field, which then they can go on to be a paramedic. So,
And then we also continually train.
we continually train. Yeah. So we train the first and third Mondays of every month for at least 3 hours. And then our second Mondays, we do our business meeting and relief. And then we go out and make sure our trucks are in working order. All our tools are in working order. And fourth Monday is usually pump training. So all our engine operators will come in on the fourth Monday, or else we'll have an officers meeting.
Yeah.
So
It's
we're
lot of-
busy.
it's busy. Yeah. For a volunteer, department, it's pretty busy, and our families could attest to that.
Oh yeah. Yep.
But back to you, Chief. So what do you see as the kind of the biggest hurdles going on right now in your line of work?
I think for us, and maybe even so for the fire as well, I think Dale would agree that continuing to get new people into the business when, it's not necessarily as popular, arguably, as it was, that's going to be the struggle, I think, moving forward. And law enforcement, there's 302-ish, I think I'm right on that, 302 open jobs in the state of Minnesota any given day.
Wow.
300 vacancies. So
That never happened.
that's strange.
Yeah.
That's strange times. So and then your agencies that are putting out or colleges, I went to Alex Tech, that's where I went, and they're putting out less people than they ever had. So between the vacant jobs and the less people, I think there's just a huge shortage, and it's in medical field too.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we see it a
medics-
lot with Alina. They're coming less and less
Yeah.
crews. They got to cover more area, so we'll end up having to call out Maple Lake Ambulance from time to time.
Yeah, because we have an ambulance here stationed at the department.
We usually do. Yep.
Yeah, so we have a Lina here, which has been a great help when they're here.
Yes.
So now I know when you're talking about the vacancies, I know it's all relative to the population of the communities that you're kind of discussing. But what do you think percentage-wise would be metro vacancies versus outstate?
That's a great question.
That is a good question.
Because to me personally, like I know for a long time, I don't envy your job, especially if you're living in the metro with all the things that were going on, or working, I should say, in the metro. Out here, I think it's a little different because things are just the mindset about everybody is relatively a little bit more relaxed and not, straight to violence, as where in the inner city it gets that way. So that's kind of where I wonder what the percentages are of metro openings versus outstate.
So the Minnesota Peace Officers Standards and Training website, the Post Board, which is our regulatory board that gives us licensing, that data is retained like really specifically. So if you looked at it, but the weird anomaly that's happening is I would be inclined to agree with what you're stating. But the people that are hurting the worst are the outstate areas because the metro area has churned up the volume on wages to the point where they're pulling
And
a vacuum.
They had to do
Yeah,
that
they
too,
had
I'm
to.
sure.
And so I'm not even making it up when I say a guy could go to the metro and make $15 an hour more an hour. I mean, there's rookie cops clearing $170,000 in the metro right now. So that's why what's happened there is that when the wages go up, they pull all of the shiny pennies. So we actually, so it ended up hurting. Ironically, it hurts the smaller towns more than because you got a couple good guys and they leave. So
And you can't blame them.
you can't. Not for $30,000. No one's going to be upset about that. Can't be mad about that.
No.
So
No, and unfortunately, I mean, there's been two departments, Motley and
4 actually.
getting
Goodhue,
worse.
Motley, I think Morris, and one other than him. So yeah, every time you turn around, there's another smaller agency, and we can provide.
So hold on a second before you get into the details of it, but you're talking about stuff. So for those who are watching, I have been letting Matthew take the lead on this because he works closely with both of these guys. I do not. So I just kind of taken a back seat. But now you guys are having discussion where you know what each other are talking about. Now you're talking about these 4 agencies. I'm assuming you're saying that they're closing down or okay.
Yeah, sorry.
So
Yes.
you missed that part. So those who are not privy to that information,
Glad you
like
clarified
myself,
that. Yeah.
want to make sure they know what we're talking about.
These are enforcing agencies, municipal agencies that have closed up shop, and they're done now.
Which is almost unheard of.
It's not been like that before, and this is only in the last, I'd say, year and a half that this has been happening.
You think this is going to be a continuing trend? And is this one where like the county is going to have to step in to fill the void and they're going to have to ramp up staffing at the county to do so? Or what is the long term?
The short answer is yes, I think to that is that. So the sheriff is the only essential service that's per state mandate. Like you can't dissolve the sheriff's office. It won't go away. But municipalities are not under the same authority of that. Like they can either be there or not. So even bigger agencies like one, I think it was Golden Valley right now, Hennepin County, and I just talked to someone at the last training I was at, that Hennepin County is staffing the city of Golden Valley during the day, and the Golden Valley PD is working it during the night because they don't have staff. So this isn't just small agencies. I don't know where that goes. I really don't. It's bizarre. So
Yeah, it's an uphill battle, and being on council, the thing to watch on that is how in the heck do we retain it? Obviously the income is part of it, but
I was going to say that's going to be
that's the big part of it.
Biggest variable that you can play with, but there's also going to be a fine line at some point where the income's not worth it to people.
Yes, and I think that's where looking at our department, I think that as someone who's not in the department but watching, I think that we have a strong community and a strong town, and I think that you've done a good job of keeping the staff that we have, and plus, I mean, we've got some classic legends here. I mean, we got Nancy.
Yeah.
She's
a bit longer. Unfortunately, she's going to be retiring in March of 24. So
yeah,
that's a lot of experience to go.
How many years?
Else.
How many years with Nancy?
Oh man, it's got to be, I think 29 or 30. I would say potentially in total law enforcement.
Yeah, because she started at the county first.
Yeah, she worked there for a while. So it was maybe not that whole time here, but between that's 30 years of experience.
Yeah, pretty much everybody in town knows Nancy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's great. So, and with the things moving forward with the department, what do you see on the horizon?
On the fire department, we're always looking to, or not looking, but progressing our trucks. So here in the future, we'll be, one of our trucks will be coming up for changeover soon. So that we'll be looking at the townships and the city for that. But other than that, we just want to keep getting new members. We'll get you trained, and then just keep progressing with the community.
Yeah.
So.
Funny side note, I've had a couple of your guys approach me asking me when I'm going to sign up to be a volunteer, which I would love to do, but there's no way that my physical issues that I've had would ever pass any sort of tests.
Oh, it's not that hard. We take everyone. We'll train you, and you got your guys on the line. You got to rely on the guys that are behind you on the hose, and you got to put all your faith in them. Because if you go down, they'll get you out. So,
yeah, and it's all that training that happens. That's pretty good. We've also gotten a lot of new, fire department also gets new toys. We've got the thing that blew my mind recently was last year we got the new Jaws of Life and all our cars.
So we got new Jaws, new all battery operated Hearst equipment. So I mean those things are top of the line. I can cut a guy out of a car in about 4 minutes. So they are amazing tools.
And they're not, you're not fighting a hydraulic hose the whole time and switching them out. And
I was going to say everybody could thank DeWalt for all that technology because they're the ones who started it, and then everybody kind of mimicked what they were doing with the smaller tools and did it large scale.
Exactly.
Like I was just kind of slightly off topic, but I don't know if you guys have chainsaws at the department or not. I would assume you'd have something.
These new
But
electric chainsaws are
even
great.
still, the electric chainsaws that they make are just absurd.
Yeah.
You can put one 5 amp hour battery and go for like 2-3 hours of just pure cutting before you have to change another battery out, and it's like there's no mess, no anything. You just go.
Bar oil and a battery.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as you're not being a logger. I mean, your average homeowner has no need for a gas chainsaw.
Right. So I haven't seen the new Jaws of Life, obviously, but it doesn't surprise me at all that they went to electric.
Oh, and they're great, and they're
powered.
submersible too.
Yeah, you can go underwater with them if need be.
So it's and the power that these new ones have, which you have. I mean, and that's another thing coming, with new cars is we're doing all this EV training now.
Don't even get to that talk.
It's
that's the topic for another day.
That's another topic. But yeah, I mean, it's two departments there that definitely gotta stay up because it's an ever changing thing. What's going on? Anything else you guys would like to add?
No, I just appreciate you having me on the show. I can check off first podcast on the list now.
At the same time, you could also check off watching one for once.
There we go.
I might have to. Although I might feel like,
might have to watch yourself on this.
Yeah.
one.
Either that, or you'll be like me, where you hate hearing your voice so much you don't want to watch it.
Well, that's about right. More like
about
that. That's probably how it would be for me.
Anytime I listen to these, I hate my voice. I think Rick has the perfect voice for radio. It's not.
He does have a good,
nice deep.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Radio
guys.
voice.
Yeah.
I would say.
I got a radio face too. I've been told.
I got a don't have a TV face and I don't have a radio voice. I am lost. So
Well, you do a fantastic job when you do actually speak up.
when I talk, Rick, you got anything?
I got nothing. I think it was pretty thorough. You guys are doing a fantastic job. Everybody obviously appreciates what you do. The fact that I don't see lights behind my car ever means that we're still on good terms. So
That can change.
Yeah,
Pete can just put a bolo out for your car. I mean,
well, I would put a sticker on the back of my car so you know it was me, but I drive so many different cars. I'm always swapping
No
with my
chance
kids.
on that one then.
No, pretty much.
That's great.
But no, we appreciate what you guys do and everybody that supports you as well. The other officers, all the other firemen and women. Do we have any women?
yeah, we have one.
I thought so, but I wasn't for sure. Obviously, we appreciate everything you guys are doing and your time for coming in here. So thank you. I'll just throw it out there quick that if anybody else wants to be on our podcast featured as a business or a community member or whatever else, just anything interesting, reach out either to laketownpodcast@gmail.com or any social media that you see us on, or go knock on Matthew's door or my door and come say hi.
And if you need to reach either of these two guys, it's just 911, and they'll show up. No,
I've got emails and phone numbers too.
Or if you're in a big hurry, see them at the gas station, go zoom in by at 90. They'll come find you.
Speaking of getting a hold of the department, of the police department, there is a non-emergency line, right?
Yes.
And so do they just Google like Wright County Dispatch?
Well, I
or
can put it. I can
yeah,
give it to you.
what is
It's the non-emergency is 320-274-3278. Otherwise, to contact directly to dispatch is 763-682-7600.
Okay.
That'll get you there.
That's like, hey, there's a loose dog running around my neighborhood.
But it's not the 911, but it'll get you there. So.
Yeah.
Do you guys still do unlocking of doors?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, I've used that one once or twice in the past.
One of the only agencies, to my knowledge, that still does that.
Very-
Carries around the
very
old
true.
Divide.
Very true.
We get a lot of traction out of that. So
That's good.
The funny thing is, you want to talk about technology. It's the technology in doing that alone, where you got the little
I know.
airbag that you put it in the door and
That's
you
great.
pump it up a couple times. And
Yeah.
I remember back in the day, you had to wedge your fingers in there, and it was a
I
good
make
time.
a pretty good car burglar if I was to switch careers at this point. So.
Thank you guys, and
All right.
and for those that didn't catch the names at the beginning, we got Dale Machovsky here and Chief Pete Standofer. So thank you guys for coming on today.
Thank you.
All right, you guys have a
Good
good
one.
one.
See ya.
You.